Let's try that again. Hello Internet, I'm coming at you live today, not live, I don't know why I said that, from Scott's Amateur Woodshop, aka Scott's Apartment Woodshop for a little while. I wanted to show you my sharpening kit. No, not that one. I have some full-size sharpening stones in my wood shop, and should you buy those? Absolutely. If you want to get into woodworking, you pretty much have to. But today I'm coming at you to talk about my portable sharpening kit, which I also believe should be your first sharpening kit. I've mentioned this before in a couple other videos, but I want to show it up close. By the way, this is a good time to mention I am not sponsored. Hashtag never sponsored. So I'm not trying to add to my collection of biases that I have as a human being with sponsorships. So when I mention brand names, please keep that in mind. This is a sharpening kit that I recommend. So here's mine. It is a Pelican 1010 case. Inside it has a little 4-inch DMT extra coarse stone. It has a couple of miniature sharpening stones that I got from Lee Valley. It also has a washcloth, and it has to be whatever size fits tightly. So in this case I took an old washcloth and got it hemmed. Cut down a little bit and hemmed, and when I fold this into 8, it fits nicely. I think it took 2 inches off, but this one, you know, it might just have to be trial and error, find an old washcloth, fold it up. And I also have a piece of paracord attached to it. That's not too important, but if you want to hang it from something, you know, kind of fun. I like to tie knots. Oh, and you know what? I have some of those sharpening stones new in the box, so I can show you what they look like in the box. Sun Tiger, but I think when you look them up on Lee Valley, they're simply just miniature water stones. There's a 1,000 grit and a 6,000 grit, I think the other one is. Let's take a look. They're stamped on the bottom. Yeah, there you go. 6,000 grit. So it's relatively affordable. Thinking through it now, and I think you would end up spending $50, $60 at the most on this. If you put this kit together. The sharpening stones in particular, I believe, are $15 or so for the pair. The Pelican case, I don't remember. But it's the smallest one they sell, I believe, the 1010. So I'd like to show you how I use this. So what can I sharpen today? I will grab my pocket knife, which is an Opinel that I have modified a little bit. Why don't I show you that just for fun? Alright, there it is. I've carved down the handle a little bit to fit my liking, and there it is. I will also sharpen the iron in this little Victor hand plane, which is a relatively simple affair. Why don't I take that out right here for you? There's the iron, there's the bevel. Okay, so what are we going to do? So first, I'm going to pick up my water bottle. I'm going to take a sip. I'm going to give my sharpening kit a sip. Now basically what I'm doing is I'm just adding a little water to mostly fill this little stone pond, which is conveniently lined with this rubber liner you can easily take out for cleaning and stuff. And that's just going to get my stones wet, because water is important. It's an ingredient in the sharpening process. Some stones use oil, these use water, or at least they like water best. And that just kind of gets that process started, so I can splash. I can also want to make sure there's water on the surface of them, but it's good if they're soaked a little. Now I can use them right in here or take them out. I can I can put the stone down and move the thing I'm sharpening, or I can pick up the thing I'm sharpening and move the stone. There's different ways to look at it. What matters is essentially that you're touching the edge of the stone and repeatability. And perhaps we should have another video on sharpening sometime, but for now we'll mostly leave it at that. So, alright, I'm going to take my coarse stone out. And I'm going to sharpen this hand plane. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bevel, I'm going to balance it on the stone, find that point where it balances. You can also look at the surface tension of the water, which it'd be a miracle if you could see it on camera, but if you can, that's cool. You can look at the reflection in the water, observe the surface tension, and notice, you can really tell when the iron is actually touching. Since this is the coarse stone, I'm not as worried about getting right to the edge, but I better be getting darn close or I'm wasting my time. And I probably should actually be touching the edge every time. So I'm going to balance this on the blade. I'm locking my elbows, I'm locking my shoulders. This is one good way to get repeatability. And then I'm just going to sway on my feet, and I'll check my balance as I go. And I'm going to try to use the whole stone so it stays relatively flat. And if I've done my job, I'll have a little bit of a scratch pattern, which I do, and you probably can't see that, but this isn't really a sharpening video as much as it is just showing you my kit and giving you a feel for how it works. So that's one step. You notice I casually wiped it on my shirt. It's sort of a bad habit, but the washcloth in here exists so that you can wipe off those metal shavings and the water on a clean surface. Now it's good for that. You might want to wash the washcloth every now and then, but it's absorbent, it's got tons of surface area, you can refold it different ways, so it really lasts quite a long time. You can lay it out on a surface if you want, or you can leave it folded up and use it right in the kit. That's not neatly folded up. Right. Oh, whoops, I'm dripping. Oh no. So, I'm going to make sure I have enough water since I just spilled some on my floor. Alright, so I think you get the idea by now. I'm going to move on to the fine stone. I'm going to use the surface tension of the water to make sure the edge is actually touching. I'm going to move this back and forth a little bit. I'm not going to go crazy. This is a small iron that I'm sharpening, so there's not that much metal to remove. Also, I happen to know this one's in pretty good shape already. I'm going to take the back. I'm going to move it back and forth across the back. You can do this on the bench or up in the air, whatever it works and is repeatable. This has to stay flat on the stone as you're doing this. No tilting it this way or you'll round over the blade. Be careful about that. It's fine if the blade goes off the edge. I call it a blade sometime, even though technically it's an iron. But technically it is a type of blade, so whatever. Alright. Now let's sharpen a knife. I'll show you a different way to use the kit. Now this knife is already very, very sharp, so in this case I'm only going to use the fine stone. By the way, that's probably what you should find yourself doing most of the time. And you can also move the stone. So one way that I like to do it is I will take my stone, I will take my blade, and I will visually find my angle where it's just tilted enough to touch the edge, and then I will move it. That's a valid way too. And the reason I know that's a valid way is because it's repeatable, and it touches the edge, and it works for me. Okay, I'm going to take my other side. Now you can also sight down the blade like this, as long as you don't poke your eye out, and you have to be careful of tripping hazards. Okay, so what do you want when you're sharpening? You want something that works for you and is repeatable and is just barely tilted enough to touch the edge. especially when you're on your final step, which is the step you're going to do most of the time. Most of the time you just go back for a touch-up like I am now. Alright, I'm going to wipe the blade of this knife. Now, it's technically made of iron, but it's a blade. Terminology is funny. Okay, so I'm going to make sure it's nice and dry because I don't want to encourage rust. In fact, I would like to actively discourage rust. Now, what I happen to have on hand today, in terms of oil or wax to keep rust away, is this Butcher Block conditioner, which is a mixture of oil and wax. It happens to also be what I like to treat the handles of my Opinel with. So I'm just going to use my hands. It's also, I'm using something that's, you know, if you look at the ingredients of this, it's nothing that you wouldn't want to use as oil for your hands. So that's fine. It's good for metal, it's good for wood, it's good for my skin. So if you find something that works for in those ways, you have selected wisely, I would say. All right, I'm going to put my iron back in. Okay, well, I'm not quite done with my kit yet. So what else is there to do? Well, I want to put it away, and I want to put it away neatly. Now, this is a portable kit after all. So, got to dump the water out somewhere on the ground, perhaps. I'm going to quickly run to my sink and dump it. You can time me if you like. Okay, I dumped the water out. Now, if you got to go, what you do is you fold up your washcloth neatly. You make sure... Oh, wait a second. Before we do that, we got to make sure the stones stay flat. So we take this little diamond stone, this is what it's for, and we go like this. We just rub it back and forth a little bit. And you just do that, and that makes sure that it approaches flat over time and it kind of stays flat. Now you might have a little dish in the middle, possibly, and would I spend extra time trying to get that out fully? No. I would make sure I get it. I would just do my normal little bit, and next time I would be more careful about using the whole stone evenly, and it'll come out over time, and there'll be enough flat surfaces to get by. That's how I like to do it. If you're more fussy, you can flatten it all the way. Okay, so I make sure things are dry, things are wiped down. I pack things away. The diamond stone just barely fits in there on top. I'm gonna fold up this washcloth. I'm going to put it neatly in the lid, and then I'm going to close this up. Now that washcloth is going to absorb moisture. It's going to also make everything in here nice and tightly packed, so if you drop this or whatever, the stones are not going to break, shatter, what have you. So now if you're at home, what you might do is open it up. Keep it open after you wipe everything dry, lay out the cloth, let things dry. If the cloth is getting really dirty, you might want to wash it, so you could just leave this out. That's another way to do it, just depends on where you are. And let's not forget, the real joy of the sharpening kit is that I have a sharp plane and I have a sharp knife. And I feel that this video would not be complete if I didn't share that joy with you. So, let's do that. Let's take a moment to enjoy the real benefit of any good sharpening kit. Alright, I'm going to take some wispy shavings here. Oh, isn't it nice to have a working plane? I don't have to push it too hard. I'm watching my thumb, of course, but if I did get my thumb, it would be a clean cut and it would only take off a very thin layer of skin. You can call that the enjoyment of having a sharp tool, part of the enjoyment if you like. Alright, let's take my knife and let's... Yeah, isn't that nice to cut with a sharp tool? So that's why we do it, folks, alright? That is why we sharpen the things. So, I've shown you my kit. Now, I'll be a good friend to you, and I'll post links below. They will not be affiliate links. If you'd like to donate to me, you can just donate to me. If you don't see a donate button, feel free to just put a comment below to yell at me to put one up. If I don't have a donate button, that's basically my own fault. Okay, so just to review, it is a Pelican 1010 case. It is mini water stones, the pair, from Lee Valley's website, which are 6,000 and 1,000 grit respectively. It is a 4-inch extra coarse DMT diamond stone, and it is whatever old washcloth you can find that, when folded up, fits fairly tightly when you close it. A piece of paracord is optional. You should also have something to drink out of, to drink water. If you're a human and you're alive, you already drink water, so or at least you drink something with water in it. Try filling up some water, and that's kind of part of the kit too. You need to have some water handy. The easiest way to do it, I find, is a water bottle, especially since this is a portable kit after all. So, have we covered everything? I think we have, except to say there are buttons below. I encourage you to use them if you like. I encourage you to Google Scott's Amateur Woodshop or Scott's Apartment Woodshop and look at other things that I have said in the past and in the future, if you are interested. And I encourage you to do something fun and creative that involves learning. Perhaps it involves wood, perhaps it doesn't. And I encourage you to have a wonderful day. With that said, goodbye for now.